the Freebirds were first put together, because it's not like everybody knows the initiation story, so to speak, of how these three guys came together, how the gimmick came together, just the whole persona of how the Freebirds came about.
Well, first off, I started in Pensacola, and a friend of mine, as everybody knows, is Robert Gibson, but I know him as Reuben Gibson, part of the Rock and Roll Express. He asked me one day, did I want to be on the ring crew, and the TV ring crew, and I thought I died and went to heaven. And that started my foot in the door. From there, Rocky McGuire.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, Rocky McGuire let me put up the ring. Then I started to referee, which I was horrible at. And then one thing led to another. Well, Eddie Sullivan and Rip Tyler were making a shot over in Mississippi for a new upstart group with George Calkin. George Calkin was the Mississippi promoter with Bill Watts, but then they had a falling out, and so Calkin started running on his own. So Gulf Coast Championship Wrestling was sending over guys for them to use. So I went over there as a jobber under a mask, and it turned out that they were doing promos afterwards at the TV station, and they booked me to come back the next week without the mask, and somebody didn't show up to do a promo, so Frankie Kane, the Great Mephisto, was booking, and he let me do a promo. And I knocked it out of the park. And it was a babyface promo, but I was still, and everybody was like, God, that guy can talk. And I was like, yeah, I can talk. Just give me a chance. Well, Terry Gordy was their champion, and he was 16 at the time. I was 17 or 18. And the first time we met, we just hit it off. I mean, it was just, you got two kids in a man's world, and, we just hit it off. And I saw him, and I went, damn. That could be my meal ticket. I always wanted to be the fabulous Florida Freebird, but when I saw Terry, I thought, okay, we can just narrow this down to the Freebirds. And, for a couple of years we were together. I went to Germany, came back, and talked Frankie into turning Terry heel, and he went with it, and lo and behold, we started drawing money with Pork Chops Cash and King Cobra, and
wow.
and I questioned Gil Calkin, George's son, on a payoff, and he basically looked at me and said, "Well, if you don't like it, get out of here." So he threw my punk card, and so I said, "Well, then I'm out of here." And I didn't expect Terry to go because he was married and was about to have a baby, and I remember sitting out in that car. And it was a long, long wait, and I just knew he couldn't leave because he had a nice little GT, a guarantee going on for him, and he finally came out, and he got in the car, and he looked over at me in the passenger seat, and he says, "Where are we going, Michael?" And I was shocked.
Yeah. Wow.
I was like, "What do you mean, where are we going?" He goes, "I told them if they ain't going to have you, they ain't going to have me." And that was the birth of the Freebirds right now, the original birth of the Freebirds, because that's when I knew he was my brother, he was my best friend. And then, we went to Tennessee and then went to Mid-South. And they put Buddy with us because Buck Robley, who was the partner of the Junkyard Dog and the booker there, hated working with us, especially me, because he didn't think we could work. And so they did an angle where they pile drove me on the floor and made me a manager, so you couldn't blow off a lot of heat in a match every night and just let me run my mouth. So Buddy had come in there as a single, and they thought, well, he knows wrestling, his Hollywood Blonde experience, and it was funny. Right away, we didn't like it that they put Buddy with us, and he saw that right away. So the first trip we had was like a 220-mile trip from Jackson, Mississippi to Shreveport. Nothing but beer and shaving cream fight. I mean, but right away, we found out he was okay, but we had always said he's not going with us. He's not a Freebird. You can't call him a Freebird. We're the Freebirds. This is how silly this was, but we were kids. We're the Freebirds. He's Buddy Roberts. And that night I referred to earlier in Alexandria, Louisiana, when Ole took us out, by that time Buddy had grown on us, and by that time we were like, no, this is a unit. We need to keep this. There's something special here. And that's what we did. And that was the birth of the Freebirds, really, when you saw it on TBS, what you were talking about, Conrad.
Wow. I didn't know that story.
And quite frankly, and I hate to say this, but it was Ole Anderson's idea to do the three-man team where any one of the guys could defend the title. That wasn't my idea. I've had a lot of great ideas over the years, but I only claim the ones that I have. That was actually Ole's idea.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that, but I mean, first of all, I'm always but that he's so difficult. But Ole was a smart guy. He just kind of problem with Ole is that he like
yeah, he's just bitter as shit.
Well, bitter, but he liked Vern. He just couldn't change with the times. I mean,
right?
He couldn't. Yeah, and it burned us. It's like I tell the story all the time when I was putting Henning over on the first Raw or the second Raw ever from downtown in the building when Raw first started, right?
Right.
And I come back, go to work for Bill Watts, got fired before I landed, and always the guy, and he says, what good are you to me now after doing a favor for Henning last night? I go, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I'll go ask Bob Hughes who's going to stay, you or me. That was in it for me and Ole. He was something. I've been on that one on WWE, been the world champion twice, and been represented on a program much bigger and much more prestigious than TBS at that time. He's asking what good am I to him? I mean, so
yeah.
That was just Ole.
He didn't get it, or refused to get it. I actually think he was smart enough to get it. He just didn't like it,